You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right.
April Ryan, welcome.
Good morning, April.
I'm like, good morning. I'm like all nervous.
Why are you so nervous?
Because this show is like everybody watches and listens. When I hear, you got to get on there, you got to get on there, and everybody's telling me, I heard about the God, Charlamagne the God, before I knew what it was all about. And I'm like,
all lies.
This is like, it's so intimidating, but I'm so happy to be here.
Do you feel like you're under fire?
I feel like I'm under fire. The fire is here. It's lit.
She's got a new book, April Ryan, Under Fire, reporting from the front lines of the Trump White House.
Oh, my God. That's scary. That's what you should be scared about.
I'm more intimidated being here than I am down the street. Yeah. No, but let me say this to you. We are in some different times, and I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. And the sad piece about it is that I shouldn't have to write a book like that.
Right.
You know, I started out like I was telling you guys in personality radio in Baltimore. You know, I used to be the news girl, and I never thought that 30 years later, I'd wind up having to have a security guard. I'd have FBI knocking on my door.
Really?
I'd have police surveillance around my house because
Death threats.
Yes, say it again.
Because the Trump administration makes you seem like public enemy number one.
Makes it seem like.
Yeah.
He called me out by name. He had
Yes.
me on his mind, and I wasn't even there.
Does
Have
that
they
scare you?
tried to blacklist you? Are you blacklisted from the White House?
I'm black, and there's a list. And does it scare me?
Yes.
That I'm not afraid of the president. I'm not afraid of Sarah Huckabee Sanders nor Sean Spicer. What concerns me are those who listen to what the president says and take it and think crazy thoughts. It's not just me. There's a whole host of other people who have had to deal with this. And
Jim Acosta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jim Acosta. There are other people that they've called out.
Jamel Hill.
Yeah, Jamel Hill. But I'm talking about, and she has had to deal with it, but I'm talking about those at the White House who simply, Mr. President, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then the next thing you know, you get a call from your boss at work. Well, the average crazies are out. We've had to call the FBI, or, you get something in the mail. And you're like, wow. And there is collateral damage. I'm a mother.
Right.
I have children. I have a 16-year-old that's watching you guys on YouTube, So I'm like, and I have to deal with that. When these things happen in real time, this is the greatness of social media, but also the downfall. When these things happen in real time, I'm in Washington and my kids are 50 miles away where we live in school, and they're in current events class and they see the headline pop up. Or the teaser, the breaking news, April Ryan, blah, 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 blah. My child will text me, Mommy, are you okay? I'm great.
Wow.
And I could be dying on the inside. But my late mother used to say, it's not what they call you, but what you answer to. I don't answer to the foolishness, but I have to be careful.
So what did you say that made the president so mad? And
A number of things.
I mean, you guys watch the briefing. You guys see, I've seen you guys talk about how the president is he's deaf for being able to walk away from the issue and focus, make the silver
He
shine.
does all these deflections.
Yeah, the
He
deflections
calls you
you talk about.
names. He tells you to shut up. He does anything to avoid answering
You
the
can't
question.
ask a fair question in a respectful manner. You say, sir, and ask a very fair question that is not disrespectful in any way. And he's the president. He should be able to answer these questions, right? And
He's the president, and he should be able. That is a poignant statement. He should be able to answer these questions. And I don't want to make people think that this is too heady, but let me say this to you. Everything comes to the White House, from war to peace and everything in between. Life and death are written in the pen and in the tongue. From the leader of the free world, from the White House. So everything comes there. Let's go back. I've been told that the reason why the president doesn't like me, he didn't like me before. You got to read the book because it started way back with a certain person who was taping everybody and got fired, but I'm not going there. Who? I'm a who? I'm going to tell you what I'm saying. So anyway, so what I found out, because they never liked the press from the time that they were running, but there were certain people in that room. Think about it, there are about 150 people in that room. And little old girl from Baltimore, black woman from Baltimore, out of the 150 people, there are about 7 people you can name, and I'm one of them. and they don't like me. Why?
Well, probably because you're black and a woman.
Well, you said it.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But but I understand the beginning of the year, there was a question that I asked that really set them off. And it's a sad day when any reporter has to ask a sitting United States president, Mr. President, are you a racist?
Right.
You remember that?
I remember.
So that's the question that they have still been gnawing on about me.
How dare you have the gall to ask him that in front of
Well,
the
wait a
world?
minute. Okay, so let's
He
go.
should be able to answer that question.
He
like
should
I
be
say.
able to
Right.
answer the question. Instead, there was silence. Remember? There was silence for about 3 days until that Sunday. That was at the King weekend. And me, as a black woman from Baltimore, who all I knew was Dr. King growing up, and my parents talking about the greatness and what he did for all of us. I was convicted about the issue of this racist thing because I said, I have to figure out what is on the table with this president, because you want to know what's in his mind. Because let's go back before the issue of me asking him if he was a racist. We had the question about him saying, if he did or if he didn't, and if he did say it, why did he say it? Remember S-hole
Yeah,
comments?
shithole countries.
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
I'll curse for you.
Yeah, thank you,
April. I
curse
got
for me.
you.
I'm trying to do that, trying to change. I'm asking Jesus to change me now, Lord. Because sometimes you get frustrated and those little words come out.
Yeah.
But anyway, but no,
Michelle said it, so you can say
I
it.
know, and that's why I said I love the former first lady. But I said, you know what? I said she taught me by doing that. I can't do that because it's a whole. I just don't want to do that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, because one day it may fly, and I don't want it to fly in the wrong place.
Gotcha.
So, but here's the thing. He was saying S-hole nations. Then before that, we had Charlottesville. Before that,
The
we
Mexican comments.
Before that, we had.
Grabbing women by the.
Well, no, but that's not the racist
yeah,
thing. That's
okay.
sexist
Just
thing.
in
That's
general.
that's misogyny. But yeah, but then you had the chief of staff talking about the compromise about slavery. If the compromise went through, the South would still have slaves. So you wonder, where are they? And I asked the NAACP the day before I got a chance to be in front of the President of the United States, what is the definition of a racist? And it's so simple. It's the intersection or the meeting of power and prejudice.
Ooh.
That's so simple. So I said, okay, here we go. And I was not sure I was going to ask the question. It was there. But I said, if you ask this question, I didn't realize how powerful that moment was until after the moment. But I knew that something had shifted because when I left the White House, I cried that day. Because, again, it's a sad day when you have to ask a sitting U.S. president if he's a racist. And I was not convinced until that moment that I asked that I was going to ask. And I was in the room, and he had all the black Republicans there and the niece and nephew of Dr. King. And that moment was there, and I threw it. Mr. President, you're racist. He never answered. I threw it twice or three times. And I remember one time I threw it at him while he was hugging Paris Denard, and he walked out and didn't say anything to me.
Yeah, hugging Paris does not prove you're not a racist. All right, Mr.
So anyway, and where is Paris now? So the bottom line is that they put me on this list from that moment on. But that was a legitimate question. And what they have done is now fixed it so that if you now ask anything about his alleged racism or what have you, he'll flip it back on you. Because remember, a couple of weeks ago, Yamiche stood up and had to ask, Mr. President, are you a white nationalist? Oh, that's a racist question.
He's
and
a
now
nationalist. And I feel nationalist is such a hidden term to say you are.
So now here's what I'm saying. It's not asking if you are for you to give me a statement because you're going to say no. The bottom line is you show us by your walk.
That's a fact.
So I'm not even asking the question anymore. I report the facts. I ask. I'm not interjecting my opinion. But if you show me something, if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it waddles like a duck, and it tastes like a duck, what is it?
A cracker.
Okay. You talking about duck pate on a cracker, right?
Now, how did you get into journalism? What made you want to get into journalism?
You know what?
You went to Morgan State, correct, too, right?
Morgan State, yes, call it out. I'm a Bear.
I went to Hampton. I'm just,
But I love our HBCUs.
I do too.
This is my term, and you have to say I said it when you use it. I say HBCUs love you to success. They do. They love us. It's like family on those campuses. And we support one another. But what made me get into it, I'm not that person who wants to sit at a desk 9 to 5. I can't. I'm too hyper. But I like to be in stuff. You know, some people call it nosy. I call it newsy.
Okay.
So I knew that early on, that I was kind of a newsy person. And I grew up in a household where my parents were very much ahead of the time. They were into stuff. They weren't black hippies, but they did recycling. They were into current events, and they taught me. You know, we'd stop at a stoplight. My mother said, "You know, a black man created." I'm like, "Oh Lord, you eat a peanut at the table. You know how many uses of a peanut?" And she, you
All
go
kinds
through
of facts.
George Washington.
Washington
Yes,
Carver.
George. I'm like, oh God, I came from
Snapple facts. Okay.
Yes, the Snapple. I'm that Snapple girl. Take the Snapple and look at Blit. I'm a nerd.
Right.
But in my home, when I grew up, we used to watch the news. Had news on all the time, and I didn't realize how much it just seeped into my being. The information, wanting to know and help disseminate information to the masses, especially information that was lacking about us at a time that we were in need. So, you know, I remember as a kid, I used to ask my father, "Daddy, why are you always watching the news?" He said, "Because I wanted to find out when the world came to an end." Like a crazy person, I ran to it instead of wanting to run from it. You don't tell a child that because I want to see when the world comes to an end. But it was something about it. And I was watching news at the time when Walter Cronkite was on. He would say, "That's the way it was." You didn't know his politics. People assume my politics. You'd be surprised if I told you my politics. I don't even tell my children my politics because they have a big mouth. But big mouths, rather. But
I don't know if I miss those. I think I miss those days. I miss the days when people kept stuff like that to themselves.
Right.
Because I feel like they're just so divisive. Like, it don't even matter. Like, I don't want to sit and argue with you about what you believe all day when
Right.
it comes to
Give
politics.
me the facts and let me figure it out.
Yes.
Give me all sides of the story, not just he said, she said, because that's essentially if you only do two sides, it's a he said, she said. But give all sides, the victims, those who are working on the issue on either side of it, the president or whomever, you know, you want to hear all sides so we can make an informed decision. And part of the problem now is the line has been blurred and obscured between fact and opinion.
Yes.
And not only that, you know, we're not utilizing critical thinking. We're just accepting what people say.
Absolutely.
And we've got to go beyond that.
I say people choose feelings over facts all the time.
They do,
Yeah.
especially this president. I feel this. I think because you look this way, you are that. And, you know, people believe it. So, you know, if it feels like it, it doesn't mean necessarily it's so.
You feel like as a journalist, that's why you don't get into politics and expressing what your beliefs are? Or is it just as a person, or is it as a journalist?
You know, as a journalist, I vote. People say journalists shouldn't vote, but I do. But you don't know. I will. My family and friends, my close people only know what I feel. I'm very outspoken personally about stuff. But as a journalist, it is not my place to tell you what I feel. But I feel like this. If I'm doing a story, if I'm doing it accurately, someone along the line of whoever I'm interviewing for the story will say what I feel. So I don't have to say it.
Right.
You know, I'm a journalist. I want to give you the information for you to figure it out. You know, but when I'm asked my opinion, I try to give you an informed opinion or an understanding from institutional knowledge. 22 years January.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I know I look like I'm 17.
Yes, you do.
Thank
do.
you. Hallelujah. Anyway,
who was the? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Who was the most difficult president before Trump?
I was gonna say because you did 4 administrations, right, from 4 presidents.
I did 4 administrations. You said I did. Okay.
That's like a bid when you got to that. That's like a bid. You did.
I did. You did 4. Yeah, I covered 4 administrations. This is my 4th administration. What's crazy is each one is unique. And I always thought that, you know, after George W. Bush, I said, oh, there'll never be another president that's newsier than him. And even after Bill Clinton, I said, oh, there'll never be another president that's newsier than Bill Clinton. I mean, remember Monica and all that old crazy stuff. And then we had George W. Bush, we had Katrina, we had wars.
9/11.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and we had all of that stuff. And I said, oh, this is it. We'll never have nothing newsier than this. And there was this funny man that came along that it was a little brown, had some ears,
Heard of
and a
him.
crazy name. And he had a bop and he played basketball. My God. You know, and then after that, I'm thinking, okay, we'll never have anything as newsy. And then look at this.
Yeah.
This has been the toughest administration. Each one is unique and different. And you have your own hurdles with each. But this administration is different. And I want to make it clear. I am not an advocate journalist. I am not someone who says, I hate Donald Trump. I don't hate Donald Trump. I'm there to cover the story.
Have you noticed the difference in correspondents being hesitant to ask certain questions?
Oh, yeah.
To the Trump administration?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can see it, and you can see it, smell it, and taste it when you're watching TV. Let's go back to that last news conference where he told me to sit down. There were people when the president got up, was talking about Mia Love. She lost her seat. She said, "Oh, Mia Love didn't give me any love. That's why she doesn't have any love. That's why she lost her election." And people in the room, the reporters were laughing. The reporters who were laughing were the reporters who were conservative reporters that support him. There's now a difference. It used to be a time when I started, I want you guys to Google this, Sam Donaldson and Helen Thomas. But when I started, we didn't do that. We didn't scream out, "Mr. President, we love you." There was a guy when he left to go, I believe, to Argentina, screamed out, "Oh, Mr. President, we love you." And some of the guys got with him and said, "You don't do that." We don't know. I don't know where the guy came from. But there are different kinds of journalists that come in. There are now people who are from white supremacist organizations or news outlets that are now in that room.
Wow.
Yes.
Like
it's
what,
a
Breitbart?
different. No, not Breitbart. Worse than
Okay.
Breitbart.
Okay.
There are people who actually work for like these white nationalist organizations, and they are coming in, or neo-Nazi groups. They're coming in, getting press
They feel
passes.
He
welcome.
pads the room to make sure he's always comfortable.
Here you go. There you go.
When Trump told you to sit down, what's the first thing you thought? Not the politically correct answer. What's the first thing that came to your mind?
You can curse in this. You can curse.
I'm
on
not gonna
vacation.
curse, but I'm gonna tell you. Okay, let me let it fly.
The first thing I thought you might sit down, April.
If you look at the tape, you'll see my head cocked like, really? I'm like, what? You do not tell a black woman
No way.
who is a mama of two children, two girls,
Right.
to sit down. But I said, now, in my mind, I was like, I was shocked because I gave him the respect because I said, in that pregnant moment that he had finished answering a question and was getting ready to call on someone else, me, April Ryan, screamed out, "Voter suppression." He responded, "Yeah, I got your voter suppression." So I thought he was engaging with me.
Right.
So out of respect, I stood up. When he saw it was me, sit down. And I was like, really? I said, "Mr. President, I'm asking about voter suppression. Sit down."
And you're still so polite.
What am I supposed to? See, that's what they want me to
act
come
out
out.
of character.
Exactly.
And then you get the whole angry black woman
Right.
stereotype
You have
there.
got to be able to take the emotion out of it, assess the situation. This is bigger than me. This is big. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. If I don't ask those questions, think about this. We had just had an election where we saw what was happening in Georgia.
Yeah.
We saw what was happening in Florida.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams and
Andrew Gillum.
Andrew Gillum, yes. We were getting videos about what was happening. And then we were hearing what was happening in North Dakota and in Texas, with voter suppression. So this is real. In this country, every vote is supposed to count. This is not the 1950s and 60s, right? So in this country, every vote is supposed to. That's at least what I was taught.
Absolutely.
And I'm still told to this day.
Yes.
So you tell me if I'm wrong. So I'm asking the president of the United States about voter suppression, and he was kind of he was playing like we do just generally with our friends. "Yeah, I got your voter suppression." So I stood up thinking that he was going to answer. And then he saw it was me, told me to sit down. And I cocked my head. I said, "No, sir." And I went back and forth. So he kept saying, "Sit down, sit down." So I sat down. And then he said, "Yeah, here's voter suppression, those CNN poll numbers." So I sat down and I popped right back up, though. I popped up. You got that, right? I said, "Mr. President, no. I'm talking about Georgia, Florida, Texas, and North Dakota, and other states." And I was off mic, but you could hear me. And then he said I was so disrespectful. But then when another reporter tried to ask that same question, he blew it off. There are people who don't feel that they were able to vote or had something happen to their ballots during this election in 2018. And he blew it. That's a serious question.
Right.
But I'm disrespectful.
So there's
What do
no
you think-
accountability for the president. There's no accountability
None at all.
for anything.
On the nose.
If you had cocked your head to the side and said, "You got me fucked up," how do you think that would have been received? How do you think that would have been received?
They would have removed
I would have
her
been
from
out
the
of.
room.
I would. Jim Acosta would have probably been pulled out, but I would have been the first one to been pulled out, and they would have. I would not be able to come back. You've got to remember, it's not about this. It's about the presidency. It's about the office and the respect for the office, and it is also about him. No matter what, I have to respect this president.
Y'all do. Somebody need to tell him to respect being the president.
I think people have. I think all of you have. I think the world has. And he's heard it because he said that I'm a winner. He's called me. He even talked about my money. I'm like,
Who called you after? After that happened, did you get numerous calls? And who called you and said, hey, you did the right thing, or we got
There
you
were a
back?
lot of
Oh.
journalists that also were very much talking about
you got
your
a lot of numbers in your phone.
Who
Who
wanted to
called your
fight?
phone?
Who pulled up like, where you at,
The
April? We
Barack
pulling up.
the Barack called and said, we picking you up, let's go?
let me say this. Trust and believe. He knows. He knew. A lot of his people called. I had a lot of celebrities call. But you know what? What touches me, the people that I grew up in church with, or the old ladies, because they're like, baby, you okay? I'm like, I'm all right, because I'm thinking, one, I'm going to have a heart attack. My poor aunt couldn't even watch it. She said, I just can't. And she said, I'm not a cursing woman. People, HBCU community. I had the president of Morgan State University. I had so many people. I had celebrities. I have people on Twitter, on Facebook, people on my cell phone.
Anybody in the
with you.
White House?
Okay, let me say this. A couple days later, Kellyanne reached out to me. And that's all I'm going to say.
Was it a good conversation?
She wanted to see how I was doing because she knew it was tough. She knew it was tough. And she's in the president's ear. Kellyanne Conway reached out to me.
So Kellyanne Conway clearly is not happy with the things that Trump does.
Kellyanne knows who I am and who I have been for the last 21, almost 22 years in that White House. I'm the same person. I don't have an agenda. I have asked questions about race. I've asked questions about Russia. When I asked questions about Russia, Sean Spicer told me stop shaking my head. They think I'm a child. See, it's those genes. It's that DNA. I look 17, but I'm older than Sean.
I would like to see women like Kellyanne Conway stand up and say, Trump should not be
They're
talking
not.
down to women journalists.
They're
like
not. Let me say this. This president has bullied people into submission, period. He's got, I don't know, he calls us the mob and unpatriotic when you ask a question or when you, even Colin Kaepernick, that thing.
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Colin
Colin Kaepernick
You
is a
get
good way to
colons,
get people
like,
to
that's
get
it in your
colon
butt.
tested. Yeah, get your colon.
But go ahead, we need to
Colin
Colin
Kaepernick.
checked
Okay,
out.
Colin Kaepernick. I call it, okay.
said Colin Kaepernick.
I've been corrected. I've been corrected. Colin Kaepernick. What do you say?
Colin Kaepernick.
All right, go ahead. We
Okay,
got you.
anyway, moving on. So they got upset with me. Remember that day when the Philadelphia Eagles decided not to come
Yes.
to the White House? And they had this thing going out on the South Lawn, we're going to celebrate the flag. And then Sarah gets up there. Whenever there's an issue, that's a hot issue, that's a black issue, she's not going to call on me because she knows she's going to look like a fool. So, and the president is always watching. So, and this is another reason why they hate me. That day, I said, Sarah, I just blurted out. I said, Sarah, does the president realize what taking the knee is about? And she just looked. And then she said, it's disrespectful. I said, does the president realize there are black and brown soldiers who support taking the knee? And it's not about the flag. It's about police-involved shootings and abuses. He got mad with me about that.
What if he told you to sit down and you took a knee?
Can I tell you something? You hit a point. There are times I have felt some days, and see, don't get me wrong, I am a journalist, but there are days that I've wanted to take a knee in that room, but I can't. But the way I take a knee is by shedding light in dark spaces.
Is it true that you and Sarah Huckabee Sanders had dinner to talk out
It's
some
true.
issues you had with each other?
It's true. But we can't work it out when your boss hates me. And all you do is, that's her daddy boss. She loves him.
Yeah, co-signs everything he said.
Co-signs.
So the dinner wasn't productive at all.
For that moment it was.
I heard she baked the pie.
When the pie was open, the birds began to sing. I ain't going to eat her pie.
I wouldn't
Thank
make
you.
that either.
How would you trust to eat that
Do you
woman's pie?
remember that
That
nursery
helped.
rhyme? You know what?
What if she'd have cooked you one of
Do
Minnie's
you know,
chocolate pies?
At the dinner, she said, and I did read the help because people were on Twitter.
No.
Yes, she did.
You can't present me no pie and say that.
Wait a minute, seriously. People were on Twitter talking about when Piegate happened, and if you notice this Thanksgiving, neither one of us posted anything or said anything about a pie because I was like, Lord, just let it blow over. I didn't even recognize the anniversary of Piegate. But this woman, and she acknowledged at that dinner, and I talk about it in the book, that she said, I baked a pie. That was not her pie that she baked, that she put on the picture and on the Twitter. It was not.
It didn't look like that.
It didn't. Her pies might look close to it, but that was not her pie. She acknowledged it wasn't her pie. She said, I baked a pie. So read between the lines.
This ain't it.
But see, here's the thing.
One of Minnie's chocolate pies.
Yeah, she said, oh, and by the way, I read the help. I used to be a voracious reader. This is what she said before I came to the White House. I said, okay, well, I said, I'm glad you know. But I said, I never said, and Fox News tried to say I didn't eat the pie because it was poisoned. Because let me tell you,
Why
it got
would you-
so
why would you never
crazy.
done?
Right, exactly. When she gets up there and tries to embarrass me, let me tell you, when I started at the White House for American Urban Radio Networks, she was still in high school in Arkansas. Okay, so number one, let's check the respect there. Put some respect on that check.
Really?
So
She looks like she's about 73.
stop. You know, Kellyanne and I are the same age too.
No.
Yes, I'm not lying.
Kellyanne Conway, 82 years old, and don't you?
No, stop it. She's 50. She's 51. I'm 51.
You better help her out.
Stop it.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Moisturizer, more water. But go ahead.
That's all.
stop it.
In prayer.
Sunblock.
Oh my God. So anyway, moving on. So with that pie, she said, April, would you eat the pie? I said, no. She said, why? I'm not going to poison it. I said, let me tell you something.
I'm not going to poison
I
it.
said, no, you know why? Because Fox News got Burlap and Rock, or whatever their names are, to go on the show. You know who I'm talking about. The little girls who wear the bling, the little black
Yeah,
women.
Diamond and Princess. Burlap and Rock.
They got their own show now.
So anyway, got them to go on TV talking about April Ryan don't have nothing to do. All she does is a podcast from the basement of the White House. They wish they knew what I did and how much I
Yeah.
do every day. They wish they could be 1/10 of what I wear on my shoe.
Diamond and Silk.
So
I
anyway,
said Diamond and Princess. from
no,
Crime
I
Mob.
said
Crime
Rock
Mob,
and
yeah.
Burlap.
I know, Rock and Burlap.
You called her Princess.
No, that's another.
That's a rap
That's a
group.
crime mob.
Yeah.
I got it from
Don't
He
worry
messed
about
up.
it.
With Diamond and yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Diamond and Princess.
Cubic
Go ahead.
zirconia and burlap. There
Exactly.
you go.
So that's what Joy Reid calls them. So anyway, so they went on Fox News talking about me, and they said, well, April Ryan is talking about the pies. I never said that. But I was taught, growing up in that family in Baltimore, and you probably were taught the same thing. If someone doesn't like you, you don't eat their cooking.
Hell no.
Thank you. It's not just me.
Well, April,
Hell
did she
no.
eat the pie?
Oh, yeah. And a lot of other people ate the pie around. I'm
Okay.
like, y'all can eat. I held the pie. I looked at it. I smelled it. I thought it was beautiful.
Moved it around with the
I
fork?
moved it around with a fork. I wouldn't eat it.
What kind of pie was it?
It was supposed to be some bourbon and chocolate pecan pie.
Nah, you don't do that. Give me that stroke face that she got. What? She look like she had a stroke. Come on now.
I gotta work with these people. Come on, I gotta go back. It's great
Don't
to be
insult
here.
people who have strokes.
I love the
Right.
fact that Hampton is up there. We gotta put some Morgan
Nah,
stuff up
I went to Hampton, so we got a little Hampton. Just show the energy and shit.
there. Okay.
I might do something with all the HBC.
And
movies,
Colin
like
Kaepernick
Yes.
over there.
Would
Yes.
you have that dinner with Donald Trump if he asked? If he
Let me
said-
tell you something. I would.
Okay.
I want to interview Donald Trump. I have done nothing wrong. What have I done? But ask questions.
Yeah.
I have not insulted him. He's insulted me. He's called me everything but a child of God. He says I have no respect for him. They have tried everything. They've lied on me. They've tried to take my career from me, and still I rise.
Would you bake him a pie?
No, I wouldn't bake him a pie. Let me tell you something. He has a staff over there, and they can. No, you know what? We might need to go to a restaurant so I know it's neutral territory.
There you go.
So yeah, maybe that.
Do you
yeah.
think Barack Obama could have gotten away with the things that Donald Trump gets?
No,
away with?
no. Barack Obama had to walk a straight line. He had to walk a line that no one has ever had to walk. If he would have done even one thing that Donald Trump has done, he would have been out of there. I've heard conservative pundits say that. You know, Barack Obama, unfortunately, he was not allowed to talk about race, because if he did, you know, we being a hypersensitive nation and the Republicans, they would have gone off. They were looking for so much to go against Barack Obama. And I don't know, he was a different breed. He was a different type of person, and it's sad what we're seeing today.
Some people say that Donald Trump is on track to win the presidency again.
I hope not.
I don't know.
I mean, shoot, nobody stepped up yet to say who's going to run in 2020 on the Democrat side. So,
what I've
Well,
been
Joe
saying.
Biden's saying he's the only one that can do it. I don't know. There are a lot of people, but see, and you guys will appreciate this. I've been watching this for a long time. Anyone who runs for president is supposed to be, at the beginning, physically appealing, and then intelligence. And then, you know, after all of that, with Barack Obama coming, I said it has to be someone who's a rock star status. At the end of the day, the last presidential election were two rock stars, whether you like them or not. Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Two rock stars. Right. But now what's coming into play, and this is what's going to happen, it's got to be someone who knows how to get down and get street.
Yes.
And yet rise back up. Because, you know, he will pulverize anyone. Talking about, yeah, look at your feet, look at the size, look at your hair.
Yes.
He's got a nerve talking about people in hair and feet and stuff. You know, I mean, seriously.
He plays a dirty game, yeah.
Yeah, size matters with him. So the bottom line is he plays a dirty, dirty game. He plays a street game. And he threw all these politicians off of their game.
Right.
Because they didn't understand, we're going to do decorum. We're gonna not let him, he's not going to win. He's not going to win by this. But he appealed to the base,
Yep.
the underbelly of society, who said, "Oh, he's like us," and he is like them. But guess what? He's a lot like the average or less than average person. But I'm gonna say this to you: everyone who supports Donald Trump feels that group that feels that they are left behind or not touched by politics. They are the same group that he would not have in his
the White House.
Not in the White House.
At his crib.
At Trump Tower,
Towers, yeah.
or
Right.
Trump International, those
Right.
hotels, because he wants a discerning clientele.
None of his buildings, right?
He wants a discerning clientele with
You don't
this.
care about them poor white people?
And that's
all.
the thing. And they believe all of this hype that, oh, I love you, I'm with you. You know, he acts like them, but he's not them.
I got two more questions for you. Did CNN support Jim Acosta so heavily, give you hope that, journalists will continue to stand up to Trump?
Let me say this. What CNN did has ripple effect for every journalist. But CNN did it for their reporter. But also, if you remember, by CNN doing that, whatever happened to Jim happens to me, because when the president said that, he's thinking about taking other journalists, I wasn't even there. I was in this man's mind. I wasn't even there. I'm that bad.
Right.
I'm that bad. I'm Beyonce for this president.
There you go.
Who run the world?
April.
Who run the world? April. Who run this mother? Yeah. So anyway, but when he said Jim Acosta, and then he brought my name up, I'm on the list. I'm next to have something pulled. So when CNN did that, what they did was historic, and they saw the precedent that has been set already, that he's already responded and done follow-up questions and stuff. So they had no leg to stand on. But if it's another news organization that is challenged like that, we have to support them. Each organization has to come behind their reporter, but also affiliate organizations or organizations who have no stake in the game need to support. There were a lot of amicus briefs, friend of court briefs supporting CNN when they went to the judge to try to get his pass back. But it directly affects us. And I commend CNN for that. And I commend all the other news organizations that supported the journalists.
Well, on the flip side, do you think Mark Lamont Hill should have been fired from CNN?
I talked to Mark, and I'm not in CNN's management. I can't. I'm just a political analyst for CNN, and my full-time job is American Urban Radio Networks. But Mark Lamont spoke his truth, and unfortunately, when you speak your truth, there are people who may or may not gravitate to your truth. And I pray, there have been things that have been said by a lot of people that may be right, that may not be right, but at the end of the day, Mark stands by what he says, and he wouldn't change it again. And I know there are a lot of, he has a voice that needs to be out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
And whatever CNN did, that's for CNN to do. But does there need to be a conversation about Israel and Palestine? Yeah, and it's been going on for years. Should there be a conversation about a lot of stuff? Yeah, it needs to happen. But that issue, the words that he said, should they have been spoken, the last words? He could have had a point until that last phrase. And that's what got him, that phrase. So
So that's not something you would have voiced your opinion on, though, with Israel and Palestine.
See, again, I'm a journalist.
Right, because you're...
I'm reporting now. If there's something going on, I'll give you detail about the history of both sides, what happened,
But not your opinion.
My opinion is there needs to be a conversation to heal that issue, period. And they are. Israel and Palestine have been trying to work it out for decades.
Right.
So, but I mean, and he just came back from Palestine. I am not an advocate for Palestine or Israel. So he was an advocate for Palestine.
Right.
So that's he stepped out in another territory. I am a journalist.
Gotcha.
So yeah. But now if you ask me, if you want to ask me my opinion about press freedom, something that I am familiar with, oh yeah. I am free. Our founding fathers, I can talk about that. I can give you my opinion on that. As a descendant of a slave and the founding fathers, who I'm sure had slaves, wrote something that was a pillar that I still lean on. They never expected there would be an April Ryan or Barack Obama or even a Donald Trump. And I stand on those things. So I can talk, I'm not, that's not my lane over there.
Right.
But that last phrase got him. in trouble. But there needs to be a conversation. There needs to be a healing on that issue. Now, I do believe that we are reporting on that. And it's a tough issue. It's a very passionate issue.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
so in the event that the freedom of the press isn't respected, what's that going to mean for journalists and news outlets in the future?
It's going to be different. To be honest with you, this president wants us out. I don't believe that we are going to be the same kind of people we have been, even at this stage of the game, 10, 20 years down the road. I don't think there's going to be a press corps like we have. It's called the body watch. I'm on you to watch to make sure, I'm reporting if you fall down or if someone, God forbid, tries to assassinate you or what have you. We saw that with JFK and all the. You have to be around the president to know what's going on. But I think things are going to change because each person who's thinking about running for office or who could be the next press secretary are watching what this president has been allowed and not allowed to do. And it's going to change. This is a historic time. It's going to change the dynamic for everything.
Right.
Yeah, the delivery system and everything. I don't know how we're going to be even 10 years down the road.
He's taken a lot of liberties that we never would have even thought a president would have
He snatched the liberties. He hasn't taken them. He snatched them.
to do.
He grabbed him
Hard.
by the...
Pussycat. All right, April.
With a tic tac.
With a tic tac. We appreciate you for joining us. The book, you can get it right now. It's
Under
called
Fire.
Under Fire.
Amen.
And now tell us about your podcast. You have a podcast?
Yes, I have a podcast, and it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
We had Kathy Griffin on it the last time. It's sometimes it's irreverent, like you guys, but I don't curse. And then other times it's very political. The upcoming one, we've got Congressman Anthony Brown. We're talking about the military and how we are in a level of crisis. We're in a lot of crises, and we talk about all of that kind of stuff. We talk about voter fraud versus voter suppression. We talk about a lot of stuff. It's political, but it's fun, and it's easy because some people think politics is so cerebral.
Right.
The thus thou art, whereas therefore. And sometimes you got to break it down to the breakdown to let them know this is easy. I can get involved. I want people to feel like they are a part of it. They are a part of what's happening. And that's a problem. The White House still has such mystery around it. And I take the veil off of it. I talk to celebrities. I talk to gospel singers. I talk to people who are in movies. I talk to the politicians. I talk to everybody who has something to say. And people listen. It's doing pretty well. It's getting more numbers. It's called On the Record with April Ryan.
On the Record with April Ryan.
Well, look for that. On the Record with
Go
April Ryan.
subscribe.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe.
April
Yes.
Ryan, we appreciate you. Thank you so
April,
much.
for coming.
Thank you, my HBC.
There you go. All
That's
right.
what I'm talking about.
It's the Breakfast Club. It's April Ryan.